Hello, I'm Lezlie Harris, and I'm the host of Come Sunday here on WBGO. And I have the pleasure today to welcome to the WBGO studios two extraordinary talents. Both can be counted among the most acclaimed and inventive artists in modern jazz. Pianist Fred Hersch, an improviser, composer, educator, band leader, collaborator, recording artist. He has been proclaimed the most arrestingly innovative pianist in jazz over the last decade. And Esperanza Spalding, five-time Grammy Award-winning visionary vocalist, bassist, songwriter, who has taught at Berklee College of Music and Harvard University. And she also wrote an opera, Iphigenia, in collaboration with Wayne Shorter. They are here today to talk about their new album, Alive, at the Village Vanguard, set to be released January 6th on Palmetto Records. Welcome to WBGO Studios, Fred Hersch and Esperanza Spalding. How are you?
Okay.
Good.
I'm doing well.
It's good to be here.
So nice to have you here on the eve of the recording Alive at the Village Vanguard. It's 2023 and already you're off and running with a tour and a new record coming out and opening night at the Village Vanguard on January 10th. Tell me about the origins of your musical friendship and how did you first come to work with one another?
Ha! I knew about Fred's musicianship, of course, because everybody does, but we met first. Fred reminded me, or I learned from reading about it in the Downbeat interview, that I came to hear Fred at the Vanguard with my friend Leo Genovese and just introduce myself. And then I guess shortly after that, Fred invited me to be a guest as part of one of the series he was doing at the Jazz Standard. I think that's where we first met and played. And, that the introduction, that was the introduction, the musical introduction, and we're still getting introduced forever.
Yes. Yeah. We had, I think, a great hookup from the very beginning. And for this engagement at the Village Vanguard, I actually had a split week, which is kind of unusual. And I did 3 nights with Anat Cohen, who I love playing with. And then I asked Esperanza to play the weekend. And I guess it was really very shortly before the weekend, she said, "I'm not bringing the bass." And I said, "Okay, let's get on. Let's get on. Okay, that's great." And we decided to record it just for posterity. And that's, I love records that are found objects, not like going to the studio, you got your set list, you got your thing. Yeah. It's just, I have a number of records in my catalog that were just live concerts that just happened to be good ones. And the recording sound was good. And it's like, I don't really play that well in the studio anymore. I'm getting old and I just like the live thing. And you can really feel the audience at the Vanguard. It's really the best place to play, period. So,
it's one of my favorite rooms to hear music. I love to sit back there in the back and get a full view of the stage and to hear music there. And to hear the recording that you did is so intimate and so personal. I almost feel like I was there those nights. I was not, but it certainly sounds that way. It sounds like you were having a wonderful time. Take us back to 2018 when you made that recording. I read that you were both going through some challenges, physical, emotional, life challenges. But when you came together to go down those stairs and hit that stage at the Vanguard, beautiful music was made and some healing was going on in the temple of the Village Vanguard.
Hey, I like that.
What were those challenges? And how did you bring that to the bandstand and work that out?
Well,
if you want to talk about it.
No, I had a hard time getting to the bandstand. I was on crutches. The Sunday night closing night was my birthday, my 63rd birthday. And so we finished, you can't just walk out of a club and go to sleep. No. You still have the energy, you're up for a while. And at 6 a.m., I was at Lenox Hill Hospital having my hip replaced on Monday. So I was, and of course I didn't want to take painkillers. So I was a little bit physically gritty there, but I think we discovered a lot of joy in the midst of other stuff, which is what music does.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. That 2018, I had met my father for the first time and my father's family. And then had gone right into this very intense opera workshop season with Wayne, where and like reckoning for the first time at the end of that year of 2018, like as the fall approached, with just how dire his physical condition was. So it was this curious, very abstract experiencing of like this, just all of these very, very, very deep and complicated dynamics with my father and my real father, and then like the fear that this person who's like a musical father, and mentor, was going to die before we could finish this project that I had promised to do. So kind of like existential crisis in both directions. And I'll just say, like, as a human, I didn't understand how much was just going on from what was going on. You know what I mean? But there was definitely some very deep dishevelment afoot. And I had stopped wanting to play bass that year too. And also found out that my father was a bass player. So just like a lot of layers of like, stuff. And I know that this music that we love, emerged out of struggle. It did. That's undeniable. It just did. And it is an alchemical process, bringing oneself, bringing one's ailment, one's heart, one's true spiritual state to the music and inviting it to do its work, and it has this transmutational power. It's a liberation technology. And I keep hearing people say, oh, the album feels so joyful. And that is not how I was feeling at all, except when we were within the music. And I actually think that like the deeper the need for the remedy, like the more potent the remedy, So I think a lot of what we're feeling and what we were giving was from that deep remedial place.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I was also going to say, to me, Esperanza is a very inspiring musical partner. I hope she feels this. I hope she feels the same. And there was very little planning that went into it. I mean, we had a set list from some things that we'd done at the Standard. We added a few different things off the cuff. And really, I just put my hands down. I really didn't think. I think when we play together, I don't have to really think that much. There's a lot of just instinct and deep listening and experience. And I think that comes through too, a sense of like, let's go for it, fearless. I mean, I think there's a 12-minute track on there, and you don't, in a piano voice duo, you don't often hear that level of stretching out.
Right.
So, and I think it earned the 12 minutes too, if I must say.
Well, I would say it was not a lot of editing going on for that album.
No edits. No,
it's wonderful. So you took to the stage with no set arrangements. You didn't really. Did you have a map as to what songs you might want to do? And tell me a little bit about the creative process of getting to the Vanguard and on that stage to record.
Well, I mean, I can say first, I think we both like a lot of the same songs. Right. It's and that makes it easy. It's not what you play; it's how you play it. So you can look at the set list and say, oh, standards, whatever. But I still don't think there's the ultimate version of Autumn Leaves out there either. It's all what you bring to it and how you add your energy and creativity to it. So it's not just the song titles. But we did have a set list, and it changed sometime in the middle of the set, but we had kind of what I call a menu of songs that we could choose from. And of course, with two people, there are no mistakes. You can't go too far wrong. I don't have to yell the chord changes to the bass player or figure out an ending, or it's one of my favorite formats. I've done a lot of duo playing.
Well, yeah, you have done a lot of duo plays, and is that your preference, duo or trios? Do you have a preference for what you would do? Just music, I know playing.
Yeah,
music.
Solo, duo, trio. If I'm playing in an inspiring place for solo and a great piano, and I'm playing with a creative partner in a trio or duo, it's all just it's all a great level of joy for me.
Had you planned on Esperanza bringing, when you were thinking about this, her playing bass with you on this recording, or you just?
I assumed it,
but
when she said no, I said, oh, yeah, okay. This could be really cool.
And it was really cool. It sounds incredible. Esperanza, I read somewhere where you said that playing with Fred feels like we're in a sandbox. He takes his devotion to music as serious as life and death. But once we start playing, it's just fun. You can most definitely feel and hear the fun in the recording, despite whatever you all were going through, whatever pain or emotional, it comes through as playful and joyful, and a real deep friendship there. How do you keep it fun each night? You're about to go out on tour. How do you keep it fun each night on the bandstand? Or how?
Esperanza?
Yeah, I mean, it really, playtime is playtime,
Right.
Like I love to be around my younger cousins and just see the way they have like their own little language, their own little laws and symbols, and when they're playing make believe, they so quickly come up with this whole logic and like the laws of all the elements of their world, and it like literally never ends. It only if somebody has to stop them for a meal or to go to bed, there's just this continual imaginative outpouring, like in whatever context they've imagined for themselves. And I think that is something fundamental to like human imagination. We set up these terms for ourselves, which of course in make believe are always changeable. You're like, oh, that's not the ice anymore. Now that's the tar pit. You know what I mean? Like it seems like that's what we are actually. And maybe as we grow, we have to make more and more sophisticated excuses for ourselves to actually show up with that abandon and that level of like mutual trust in the imaginative leanings of each other, and this particular musical playscape, we've each labored a lot, to be able to feel as free in it as some kids feel playing, in the living room. But once it's playtime, there's no efforting. We're just R-ing. We're being in it.
We're R-ing.
Yeah. And especially with Fred, like he was talking about earlier, there's this sense of like anything's possible. Like in the equivalent of make-believe, you could say anything. And it's like, oh yeah, that's the iceberg now. Cool. Well, then if that's the iceberg, this is a walrus, and like do. I have no doubt that whatever comes out will be welcomed. And I believe Fred feels the same way, so we can just go and go and go until the set's over or the song close.
Yeah. We're going to be playing a variety of venues, some large clubs, some more formal concert situations. For me, during the production of the record, of course, I've heard it many, many times, as you do when you're putting a record out. And for me, I just have to erase that, and not every place will be the Village Vanguard. We will get 6 nights, which I know will be fantastic. But when we're in more formal spaces, we're going to try to make things as intimate as possible. For instance, I've requested an oriental carpet and a funky floor lamp and some lighting that makes it feel like we have a little living room for you.
Oh.
I think it's the kind of stuff that the more you think about it, the worse it is. As Esperanza just said, we're R-ing and B-ing. We got a couple of letters going on, R and B there.
R-ing and being.
R-ing and being.
No, well, it sounds like you are-ing and being on the record together. And you have a sense that the audience feels like they are part of this magic that's happening as well. Tell me about the songs that you did choose for the recording. Charlie Parker's Little Suede Shoes. Thelonious, you have one of your original recordings on the record, Monk's Dream, Fred, that you wrote.
Actually, it's Dream of Monk.
Dream of Monk, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's okay. Everybody, there's lots of dreams, but this was Dream
as long
of
as we
Monk.
Keep dreaming of him.
Yeah. Well, he was in my dreams, so that's why I wrote the song. I mean, I don't even know if we were done Little Suede Shoes before opening night. Maybe not.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Well,
I just think of you and Nancy King's doing of that. It's
yes.
So sacred.
Yes, another fearless vocalist from Portland.
What's her name?
Nancy King. Yeah.
And Esperanza, you kill Girl Talk. I love it.
Ha! I love that song. Now, I mean, I first heard Dakota Statham do it and thought when I heard it then, ooh, she's saying something else. Because the song on its own is so unsavory. But it's fun to like hijack troubled compositions that are, clearly representing the diminished thinking of their time, So that's like a little, what do you call it? Yeah, we like remediated the soil of that one.
Did you all come up with the set list of the songs together, or did you, collaborate on what we would do?
For the album, yes, we went back and forth, sent virtual MP3s and whatnot. And I think Esperanza trusted me to make the initial selections. And then we chose from the ones that I had whittled down, I believe. But there were so many other performances that definitely would have made the cut. It was just a question of what I thought we both sound best on and what would sound best together. And the album, there's a trend to making shorter albums now. I just did a duo album with Enrico Rava. It was 43 minutes. My last record was 46 minutes with a string quartet. This one is approaching the 70-minute mark, but it's exactly how long we play a set, basically. Right. So you're getting a virtual set, soup to nuts. And I think live records can be longer. I think there's a reason that they can be. In the studio, you get a little more self-conscious about time and timing and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, but it was a very collaborative process, and I think we agreed on everything pretty well.
So, will there be a part two? Is there enough material for second Alive at the Village Vanguard?
I don't know.
There's things that didn't make it to the record that should have.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe there'll be a single that will drop sometime in the future if we both feel good about it. That's the way people are doing things these days too.
Yes, indeed. In 2018, when you recorded, it was 2 years before the pandemic was about to wreak havoc on the world. Can you share a little bit about how the pandemic changed your life and your music, and how that will be reflected in what we hear on this tour? I mean, if it reflected, it impacted all of us in so many ways.
Sure. a big question. I mean, I know Esperanza decamped to Portland. That was a biggie, but I have to say I went through a period of what the New York Times called languishing, which is not like complete depression, can't get off the sofa, but just feeling unmotivated. Like, why write something? I don't know when I'll play it. Why practice? I don't know when I'll have a gig. Doing a lot of word games on the computer and reading Swedish crime novels. And I'm out here at our place in Pennsylvania. Fortunately, we have the second place. Otherwise, we would have been in Soho, which was pretty scary during those first months. But it took me like a good year to get my mojo back. And, you know, I've talked over with people like my shrink, you know, and they said, look, you've been accomplishing things for 45 years. You know, this is not a time to think about accomplishing stuff. This is your life, full stop. All the things that bring you pleasure and fun are not here anymore. So just be kind to yourself. And if you are unproductive, then so be it. Just try not to beat yourself up about it. So, but then I started touring about 14 months after lockdown, and it's been fantastic, I've got to say. I'm very appreciative of live performance.
So are we.
Yes.
What about you, Esperanza? How has the pandemic shifted or enhanced your life?
I remember doing this little fully improvised duo with Jeff Parker. I think in maybe the spring of 21, I think. And I think that was the first time I have been out in a venue, you know, since the lockdown. My experience of the audience was like, it was like a different world. I felt that people coming into shared space and hear music were like 1000% present, not on their phones, not going back and forth to the bar and up to the stage, just like sitting with full attention and full responsivity to what was happening musically. And that felt so magical and so powerful. And I felt like for me and I think for a lot of beings who love music, but maybe took for granted what a gift it is to be able to experience shared music, had this like awakening to the miracle that it actually is to be able to convene and experience this thing called music live. So I definitely have noticed a shift in myself of just like reverence for this thing, for this phenomena that we can share with each other. And I have since then distinctly felt a shift in the audience, like distinctly. And maybe it's a meeting of our gratitudes, you know, or our like coming into more presence and reverence for what it is. But I definitely feel that shift.
Yeah, my first concert back was in June, a year and a half ago, and I was in Paris. It was a solo concert, and I walked onto the stage, and I was basically like a deer in the headlights. I just freaked out because it was the first time I had played, and the first time that anybody was going out to hear anything live. As Esperanza said, everybody was masked. They were not serving drinks at the bar. No milling around afterwards. They were just there
for the music.
And it was one of the more emotional performances I've ever had among, some others I can think of, but it was definitely up there in terms of the, I guess, juiciness of that moment. For everybody. I totally agree. And even now, I played at the Vanguard in October, and there were a number of people who said, this is the first time I've gone out to hear music, even now.
Well, it's still, people are still taking it one day at a time, so to speak, but we certainly need this music in our lives for each other and for just for the universe. We need more music, and I'm certainly looking forward to hearing the both of you at the Village Vanguard. You're at the Village Vanguard on January 10th through the 15th. And then you'll be at NJ Pack, which is right down the street from us at WBGO on Wayne Shorter Way. And Wayne Shorter Way and Sarah Vaughan Way.
Yeah.
That's
All
where I
right.
last saw you, Esperanza. When we did the dedication for Wayne Shorter, which is a beautiful windy day. But there it is. And so you'll be down the street from us. I'm here with Esperanza Spalding and Fred Hersch. They have a new album coming out on January 6th called Alive at the Village Vanguard. I like that, Alive at the Village Vanguard, not just live. We are alive at the Village Vanguard. It's on Palmetto Records. They started their U.S. tour in January, and they'll be coming somewhere near you, but they'll be at the Village Vanguard in New York City on the 10th, and at NJ Pack, New Jersey Performing Arts Center on the 29th of January. I thank you both for coming and spending time with us here at WBGO. I wish you the best on your tour. I love the record, and be well.
Thanks.
Yeah, Happy New Year, and more music and more bright moments.
Yes.
And more Alive at the Village Vanguard.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.